Hey guys.
Hey, Victor is here.
Hey Victor.
Welcome to Gracie Schwarzwald.
Welcome to Gracie Schwarzwald. We're going to wait a few minutes, see who more people come online, and we'll talk a little bit then too. This is our first time, so please bear with us as we learn how to do this. So
6 people are watching right now.
Okay, great. And we'll talk. We'll keep talking because I know maybe more people are coming. But the point today is to do a Jiu-Jitsu question and answer. And so if anybody has questions about anything, we can cover them. I've gotten some previous questions from people who can't be here with us today. So we'll try to cover those too if we have to. But for those watching, you know, there are no dumb questions. Okay, so despite what Jason Colbert might say, you want to make sure to, you know, always ask and find out. That's the only way you're going to get the information. I'm not saying we will give you the perfect answer, but we'll do our best. So we will wait a few more minutes to let people get a chance to get online.
Already 10 people online.
Okay, cool.
Victor says, looks a little bit strange, didn't saw the mats for a while.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, you didn't saw it, Victor, we saw it several times. Bad for you, buddy.
This area over here is known as Victor's murder room.
Yeah.
This is where he would murder his innocent victims. Remember, you can't spell victim without Victor.
That's right. Diana is also watching.
Hey,
hi, Diana. And Meto. Hey, Meto.
Hey, Meto.
What's that?
Did you know Meto's a black belt? He told me it's right, Meto? You're a black belt. We talked about that.
He's a black belt?
Yeah, we'll tell you later.
Okay. So, Jens is also here.
Okay, great.
Free, easy. Meto is saying hi. Nice, nice. 12 people here. So, waiting for your questions. What do you want to know? Any questions?
We're also going to try to, if we can, at the end of this, hit record and see if we can have recorded all of this. We'll try our best so we can hopefully have this for later. But, you know, Erkan and I are not technology experts, so hopefully we don't mess that up.
Yeah, we try, at least.
We do have our gi tops on, our gi tops over here. We're just not wearing them right at the moment, so if there's a gi top oriented technique, of course, feel free to ask.
So let's ask Diana if Daniel is also online. Diana, is Daniel also online? Because he was asking a technique about the crucifix position. Maybe you can show the crucifix position for Daniel if he's there. So we are still 12 people. 15 people. Wow. Waiting for your questions. Otherwise we just start doing some techniques. Here we go. Zegar is asking a question. How often do you think positional sparring should be incorporated into someone's training? Good question.
Very good question. You're asking somebody who has a very specific position on this. We'll occasionally have to, if we're back here, we might not see the question, so when we come up to the screen, you can always retype them. And hey, Zager, good to see you. I think you can, what I sometimes used to do is for rolling, I would have 1 round, if you were doing rounds, be what I call a panda roll. Okay, and that's, you don't stay in any one position, there's no submissions, you don't stay in any one position for more than, say, 10 seconds. It's just to get in the habit of moving and get comfortable going through a lot of different positions. So you maybe do 1 or 2 rounds of that panda rolling. It's not aggressive, it's just kind of really flow rolling. And then I would do 1 or 2 rounds of positional rolling, meaning you're fighting for dominant positions, you're trying to pin the guy, you're really working on that. Submissions again are not, you're not going to do submissions in those rounds. You're really learning how to control position, how to hold, how to pin. And then after that, you can add in, make it more just traditional jiu-jitsu rolling. That said, you know, submissions come easiest when you learn how to control somebody. Okay, you limit the chaos, you limit the randomness. It's much easier to direct somebody into the positions where you can finish them if you really focus on control. So I would say, rather than thinking about controlling being a specific round, even though you can do it like I said, is sometimes when you roll, just focus on rolling with control as your dominant mindset rather than submission. So even if the guy's kind of giving you a submission, if you feel that he's not just desperately giving it to you, don't take it. Just really learn how to control someone. I can't emphasize that enough. If I'm here, he's rolling, and he's jumping all around right now, and I'm jumping all around the whole time, I'm moving in here, and then I'm trying to catch something. I'm in a scramble, maybe I get it, maybe I don't. And you end up usually being tired. That's why you see guys going, okay, can we take a break, right? So you want to really learn how to control, because that's an art in its own right. Learning how to turn this way a bit, put this hook in, this one, butterfly. Here, I'll turn this way. Okay, so lift the hook, yeah. So there's a bunch of different ways I talk about this, my weight and pressure concept. If I'm tense and he lifts the hook and he turns his knee to the inside, I fall. Okay, so rather than me focus on how do I pass and get the submission, I'm going to learn to play this. So lift the hook. Look, I pull the foot inward, it turns the knee out. It's a harder time to lift the foot. Now I let my leg go, lift. I'm not tense. Okay, versus I just stay tense, I try to pass. I'm not worried about it. I'm living the moment of learning to ride that hook all the different ways, whether I'm turning the knee, whether I'm making my leg light, whether I'm turning the knee in out, whether I'm pulling the foot, all these different things. That's a whole learning experience in its own right. Don't view that as just a problem in the way of the submission. Practice that as a learning experience right there, and just learn to play it. So maybe I pass, he's trying to sweep, and maybe I'll get back to him. Then this time might be something different. Lift. Each time I learn to play that. Okay? So I don't know if that answers your question, but hopefully that helps.
So the next question is from Diana. Could you please explain when to switch to knee on belly? When does it make sense?
Okay. So always it can be just a sense of you just want to go there to make something happen. Okay, so if I'm controlling, I can always pop up here because now he's going to have a little bit more incentive to move. He's going to feel a little bit more freedom. Knee on belly is very important because for self-defense, we talk about this. When I'm here, I have a much better view of whoever's around. If he's reaching for weapons, I can control his hands, I can see. So in a pure self-defense situation, while I'm on top, I would probably go to this a lot of times. My knees aren't on the ground, I have good vision. But a good time for you to learn to do this is this. For the knee elbow escape, right? He starts making his frames, he turns on the side. See how he traps my foot? Okay? And then if I let him trap my knee, I'm in a lot of trouble. So, first principles, I want to hide my foot. Okay? So I'm here and he starts, I know what he's going to do right now. So I take my foot over. Now, I go here. And so I just hide the foot. Now, a lot of times he'll turn back into me. I slide right back now. Every time he goes, I hide the foot. I don't want to be here and try to stay positioned and he gets my foot. So we just hide. Here I can come in, and right back. So I use that all the time. It's very, very frustrating. The person's trying to get started on the knee elbow escape. You hide the foot. And the way I'm doing that is my weight rocks forward, so my weight is on my knees, my foot lifts and glides over, and then we step up. And then again, I can move back, I can move to normal side control, I can go back to normal. So we're just hiding that first thing he wants from me.
So, next one. Daniel is also watching. Hi, Daniel. The next question is a way to escape the crucifix position.
So, this is it can be a pretty difficult position, a very difficult position. So what the crucifix is he has my back, turn all the legs all the way across. Here, here, okay? Now one thing I can do, yep. One mistake, turn this way just a little bit. Avoid this. When I go, a lot of times people will drive into the guy. Okay? Now slide your right knee under me. He's just going to take my back completely at this point. Okay? So I want to try to avoid that. He's here, I'm here. Now depending on which leg he has on top, once my elbow is out, I'm pretty far out. So bring your legs up higher. Here's where I'm going to have a little bit of trouble. Okay? And I have to worry about him getting over my neck. So get around my neck. I have to worry about this choke. Okay, as well as the kimura. Okay. So one thing I'm always going to try to do is turn my pinky out here, and I'm going to hip a little bit this way and hit my elbow in here. This way. Okay, so once my elbow is gone, there's no more crucifix. So I'm here, he's squeezing tight. I turn. Get my elbow in. Now what I got to be careful about is when I go this way, he slides the knee in, hooks my leg over, takes my back. So most of the time I want to turn to the legs, but since he's got this arm, I can't. So I get my arm out, elbow in, holding this. Now look, now I can bridge. I catch the head, take my back, I pull in the head, take my back, and my arm swims, blocks off his hip, and you lose your mask.
Not me.
So he's here, keep this tight to me too. He's really tight here. Yep. I'm going to turn my pinky, because what I want is my elbow, turn this way a little bit more. Right now my elbow is going into his thigh. I want to turn, so my elbow is going into the, straighten your leg for a second, right here at the knee. So he's trying to keep it tight. Here. Now I bridge, catch his head. Okay? No, I want them to see my hand. Because I want to stop him extending his head away to take my back. I'm pulling the head in. I watch my right hand take my back. It blocks off his leg. And then I can go more stealth. Okay. So, let's see if that helps a little bit.
Was that helpful? So, next question. In your opinion, what are the most important things that somebody at blue belt level should be focused on?
So, at white belt level, my view is you learn to defend the things you're going to get attacked with in the street, and you learn to master the fundamental techniques, which tend to be offense. Right? How to do an armbar, how to do a guillotine, how to do a rear naked choke. At blue belt, there's going to be a little bit of two contradicting information I give you. One, learn everything. You're going to be a confused blue belt, trying to learn every move on the internet. In some senses, that's okay. But what you want to do is keep your open mind, play with everything. Because what you think might actually be your game, well, you're all going to be a great De La Riva guy. May not work for you. You may not have the physicality, or it may not make sense to you kinetically inside your body. So as you roll, you'll kind of find yourself gravitating to certain positions, gravitating to certain submissions. So keep an eye open for that. If every time you roll, you end up somehow holding a Kimura, it just feels natural to you, then start to focus on that. Start to focus on mastering a few things, and I'll talk about that in a second. So first, keep an open mind, play with everything, but then start to see what your body naturally wants to do. Also, you should be working on now learning how to defend submissions. Don't focus super heavily on it, but learn how to basic guillotine defense, basic arm lock defense, basic Americana defense, all the things you learned as white belt. Start to learn how to counter. Okay, so what was I saying? Oh yes, I tell this for white belts, but it's especially true for blue belts. It's what I call the gun in the pocket theory. Find one submission from guard, any guard, a guard you play preferably, one sweep from guard, one guard pass, one takedown, and one submission from a top position. Find all of those, that's not many, and then try to master them. Okay, so take those techniques in your blue belt, but make sure you're purple belt level at them. Okay, when I was a blue belt or a purple belt, my knee cut pass was close to black belt level. Okay, my other passes were maybe white belt level, but I had that one. If I really needed to pass this guy's guard, he was a blue belt. Now he's dealing with at least this one purple belt or brown belt level technique. It's not that many, you know, and it could be any guard, it could be any top position. So it could be, you know, north-south Kimura. Just make that your go-to move and really figure out how to get to that position if that's the one your body naturally wants to go to. And figure out all the details to finish it. Okay, so you're gonna walk out of purple belt with those 5 techniques that are your gun in the pocket. What I mean by that is you and I are having a fight, I'm sick of the fight. I pull the gun out, I finish the fight. Okay. So that's for me what you should be really focusing on at blue belt level.
Can I add something?
Yeah, of course.
So the thing is, sometimes you find out what you're going to during the sparring session, not during the techniques.
Exactly, that's what I mean, yeah, as you spar.
I absolutely suck training the Uchimata as a technical training. It's pretty hard for me, but
throws me on my head with it all the time in the spar.
During sparring, that's my go-to move. So that's 99% of the time when I try to throw someone, I go for the Uchimata.
Right.
But when I try to train the Uchimata, I hate it.
So you figured out eventually that was the one your body was naturally, that works easiest for you.
Yeah, during sparring, but not during the technical training. So what I want to say is that you really have to try techniques during sparring and try to listen to your body, what he wants to do, and just try it there to find out what are your go-to moves in the beginning as a blue belt level, right? Yep.
Like I tell people, I'm not bad at triangles, but it's never been my thing. I actually have to think about a triangle. I mean, I've said they're great. The omoplata, you wake me up in the middle of the night, I'll omoplata you without even thinking. Okay, just my body naturally goes to that position. Nicely, they both are kind of set up in the same way, so I can deal with that situation. So that's just something I realize is that if you give me the triangle, most of the time I'm going to just switch off to the omoplata because it just makes more sense to me. Okay.
Some more questions. What does an ideal class structure look like for you from a pedagogical thank you, standpoint?
It's a good question.
Very good question.
So there's 3 parts to a jiu-jitsu class in my experience. And every school will focus differently on this. Instruction, drilling, and sparring. Okay. When I came up, it was heavy instruction, heavy sparring. These days, in my experience, it's actually light instruction, heavy drilling, heavy sparring. And my belief is because there's so much focus on tournament competition, right? I can take you, I always say I can build a tournament purple belt in 3 years. I can't build a real purple belt in under 5 years, okay? Because I don't have to teach that much to a competition purple belt. I teach him some things that are really good, and then he just drills it over and over and over again. So I think that's why there's a much more focus on drilling. That's why I see people when they come train with us and the fundamentals are pretty bad and their understanding what they're doing or why they're doing what they're doing is pretty bad. So I still teach with a pretty heavy focus on instruction. Now obviously drilling needs to be important. I'm not saying don't drill at all. You have to drill because the technique up here doesn't mean the technique is in your body. Okay? But I really want my students to understand the technique. Meaning, if I just show you the technique, it only works as long as, one, you remember it, and you're put in that exact situation, right? But if I explain the mechanics behind the technique, why you want to do that technique, as I tell you guys all the time, the pros and cons of a technique, you can adapt it to different situations. You can understand how it will fall apart and how it will work best, okay? And that means I actually have to talk to you for a while. I have to get you to really understand these ideas of understanding what are the commonalities in all sweeps, for instance. What are the forces involved in all sweeps? It's not just, okay, guys, you grab the collar, you put the leg, you throw him over, okay, now go do this 100 times, okay? Because, was it Michael Jordan, I think, said, if you practice missing 1,000 times, you'll be really good at missing. Okay, so that's my focus is heavy instruction with a good understanding of mechanics, and then heavy sparring, right? And of course drilling, right? Because drilling allows you to kind of fine tune it, but again, if you don't understand what you're doing, you can't fine tune something wrong if you're taught it not very well. So I believe in heavy instruction, heavy sparring, and a good amount of drilling. But when we come in, I don't do a lot of just workout warm-ups like calisthenics, because I had a friend explain it to me one time. It was really nice. He said, you're not paying me to work you out, but you're paying me to teach you jiu-jitsu. So when we do warm-ups, it tends to be sport-specific or art-specific warm-ups, shots and double legs and pick up the single and arm drags and things like that you'll actually use versus let's do 20 push-ups, now let's do 20 crunches. So we'll do the warm-ups, however they may be. My class, we're always going to do some stand-up technique that could be takedowns, standing self-defense, striking. That's crucial. It can't be something you do once every 2 or 3 weeks or a month or 2 or 3 times a year. And then we'll work on the ground, and then we'll drill, of course, all the techniques, and then I let people roll as long as they want. One thing I do that's different than most every school out there is we don't set timers for rolls, so that a lot of times if you only roll for 4 or 5 minutes sessions, you can just get away with a lot of athleticism because you're going to need a rest. You get stuck in a position and just either try to explode your way out because you'll rest, or just wait till the timer goes off. If aircon gets me mounted, and I don't know how long it's going to be before there's a change, I have to actually sit here and learn how to survive and how to escape, versus, again, just having the clock save me. At my old school, I used to joke, if I saw any student looking at the clock during rolling, when we did set timers, I'd just turn it off. But here we don't generally set timers. I'll change it up. Maybe sometimes it's 5 or 10 minutes. Sometimes it's 20 minutes with the same partner. So you can, that's one way, we talked about control earlier, that's one way you can master control too. Is if I have a 20-minute roll with aircon, I got a lot more time to learn how to study all the subtle ways he's going to try to escape, as well as having to learn all the subtle ways he's going to hold me down that I've got to get around to escape, versus, again, just exploding as hard as I can for 4 or 5 minutes. Okay. So hopefully that helps with the way at least I run my class. I never say the way I do is the best way. It's just the way I've become most comfortable and think works the best.
So that means when you teach a technique, you always teach how to do the technique, why to do the technique, and when to do the technique, right?
Yeah, I think it's really important. It's a tool.
Yeah.
If I hand you a screwdriver and I go, okay, you turn it like this. Well, yeah, you kind of have a general idea of what to do with it, but I'm not going to really be able to help you much further than that, right? So I want to give you the tool, teach you the mechanics of how the tool works, right? Teach you, like you said, why to use this tool at this time versus this tool. For instance, right now, why would I do knee on belly versus traditional versus Kesa? Okay? They're all side controls, but they all have their pros and cons, right? I need you to understand what some of those might be, okay? If I'm here, as I covered before, this gives me better visibility. I can control arms here, okay? When I'm here, I obviously have better, just total control of him. Okay, I can control his head, okay? When I sit like this, I don't control his head, but it's a lot harder for him to put me in the guard because my hip is blocking him off. Here, okay? And I have the opportunity now to maybe get a little bit more attack position from here, okay? So, as you can see, it's not a matter of this is the best way to hold side control. It's understanding the purposes of these different tools and the mechanics of what they're good at and when you might use it and why you might use it.
Also, when you teach techniques, do you focus, I mean, I know the answer, right. Maybe that will help the question of the friend over there. Do you focus on one topic for several days, or do you jump over different topics?
Sometimes I do. What I tend to like to do in classes, what I find works best, at least again for me personally, is either I will teach a flow, like say a throw into a control, into a finish. That way you see a whole technique. It's not just, here's a throw, now here's a sweep from guard, now here's a footlock escape that are completely unrelated. Or I teach a variation on a theme. It might be like a front headlock position. We're going to use it in how to take somebody down. Now we'll use it how to pin somebody on the ground. Now we'll use it how to set up a submission. But kind of always from this sort of same control position, you'll start to see all the different options. I'm a big believer in what I call hubs. Like getting to certain positions where you have many, many different options versus at one position and one option, at one position and one option, at one position and one option. And then as we go along, I will try to, depending again on who's in the class, try to stay on the same general area, if you will, as we go along class. So maybe we'll do kind of stuff generally in the half guard range for a while, or you know, generally based off of front headlock position or side control positions. You know, it could be standard side control one class and maybe case in another class, maybe knee on belly after that. So you start to see, you limit all the other stuff, you just kind of focus on one area for a while. Let's see.
Oh wow, 21 people watching. Oops, sorry. Could you please show a late escape for the triangle? Sure.
Yep. Okay, so let's go back this way just a little bit. Let's actually turn this way. This is one I like to use a lot. Okay, so triangle, arm in, arm out. He gets the arm across. Okay, now let's talk about this. What's choking me is obviously his leg on one side and my shoulder cutting in the blood on the other side. He wants to do the triangle staying flat on his back. Once his hips tilt, it becomes harder for him to keep his triangle locked. Okay, it could be that side or that side. So if he keeps the arm in the middle, you want to triangle me? It's very hard because this is acting like a spacer. So now watch, drag, go ahead and lock the triangle. Drag the arm across. So what I'm going to do though is, as he pulls my arm across, I'm going to kind of speed up his move. I'm going to do more of it. So he drags the arm across. I'm going to move, just back a little bit, and put my elbow on the ground. And I'm moving sideways. And I want to put his knee on the ground. Here. Now it's still tight. His knee on the ground, my elbow on the ground acting like a wedge. So if he tries to come back under me, I'm here. Now what I'm going to do, both hands, I'm going to pull the knee. I'm going to pull the knee under me and drive his leg forward, get my arm out. So it's almost like a knee crank. So I'm doing is I'm pulling the knee as I drive my body forward. So it goes to the triangle, you start to lock it in, it drags. Elbow and knee on the ground, very important. Can you see this?
Let's turn a little bit. Right here.
Elbow, knee, holding the knee. I come up, I pull the knee, drive it, and then where's your? Okay, so it's important I tilt his hips. Come on this side. Okay. I'll do this sometimes on the other side. He goes through the triangle. He drags it across. Nope.
Good question.
Pull the knee, drive your shoulder in.
Let's see. I'm teaching my brother and cousin at home. How deep should I go into every detail and how much should I correct mistakes since they are absolute beginners? Meto is asking.
You know I like to teach detail. Don't teach any detail. I'll tell you a quick story. I used to, when I was sort of first starting to teach, and I would try to, oh, look how much I know. And I'd teach key lock, and I'd spend like, 5 minutes. Oh, finger here, da, da, da. Push down, here, oh, specific, da, 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 da. And then I'd say, okay, go work, and guys would go like this. They'd be confused. I'd throw so much at it. So I would just say, grab the arm, reach around, grab your wrist. That's all for now. Grab the arm, reach around, pull. It's not going to work. In the beginning, tell them, don't worry about it, don't pull hard, but just big dumb move. Hold wrist, grab wrist. Hold wrist, grab wrist. Let them work that till they get that muscle memory in. The simplest muscle memory. Pull head down, reach around the head, grab your wrist. Pull head down, reach around, grab your wrist. Let them work that for a while till they get that. Then add maybe a little bit of detail. Right? Grab elbow on the ground now. Here, grab, put your elbow on the ground. Here, grab, elbow on the ground. Let them work that till they get that. I'd say just, maybe 1 or 2 details at most, but keep it, what is that, KISS, right? Keep it simple, stupid. That's all for somebody who's brand new. Otherwise, what you're telling them is everything in Jiu-Jitsu is super complicated. Okay, you want them to believe it's very simple. Okay, you can always add more detail later. It's like salt in cooking. You can always add more, but you can't take it away.
I feel like trying to correct everything. They might start doubting or lose interest. That's the same question like before. It's also
that if he's correcting everything, they'll lose interest?
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't want to take the fun out of it. You don't want it to be school, like where you're like, no, you did this wrong, you got to do this exactly right. Just make it fun. Make it real stupid, simple moves. And then just let them play. With it. But yeah, don't. Because the worst thing you can do. Hoyt showed me this. Sit up. Here. Grab my wrist. No, the same hand. But not like, no. How do you feel?
I feel it's very dumb.
You feel stupid, right? Now, you're not going to want to come back.
No.
I go, okay, And even if he messes up, grab our arm, right? No, that's good. We're going to do this now. Okay? Cool. Now, you don't want to insult people, right? Or correct them or tell them. I had a guy I used to train with, and he'd walk around like, hey, that's so stupid, you're doing it wrong. And then he'd be confused why nobody wanted to come train with him. Right? You want to make it a positive kind of situation. If they get it mostly right, yeah, that's it, okay? Maybe we tighten it up a little later, but you got the idea. That's what you want to tell people.
So you guide the student?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, who's that? Phil Across the Park podcast. Hi, Roy Akan. Hi Phil.
Hi Phil.
Most of the time when I get submitted, it is from the bottom of the side control and it's my far side arm, usually key lock or kimura. How can I frame more safety with it? Thank you.
Okay, so the question is, he gets caught in side control. Okay. This arm, if it's here or it's here, is in danger. Sometimes if it's here, it can be in danger, right? He goes north-south, switches his arms, runs around, now maybe he started attacking my arm. Okay? And even this, sometimes if the guy can start to peel this arm away, here, or he slips it by a little bit, here. So one thing I have to do is, I have to understand, I want to stop them moving to another position where they can attack my arm. Okay, so first, if my arm ends up over here or over here, I want to hold him first. Okay, now, this way, probably the biggest mistake I see people do is they're blocking this hip. Okay, because maybe they can't deal with pressure or something, but now, go north-south. Yeah, he's going to start going back. Okay, so I hold this arm. I make a hook and I tuck it in. Now go to attack my arm. Here, attack this arm. He has to bring this arm across. And like this, he can bring this arm across. Okay? Even if I have the arm underneath, go to north-south, attack that arm. Okay, now look, when I do this, watch this, turn this way, please. Okay, even if I'm not holding this arm, attack the kimura. Oh, there you go. Do it one more time. If my arm is here, and I'm not holding this arm, he brings it over. He wraps up the arm, he slides up, he gets here. Okay. Do it again. The back of my hand, I'm pressing down on his shoulder back. Go ahead. Reach. Here. So I don't need my hand like this. I take my hand, I pin to the back of the shoulder tight. Now one thing I can also do, come around this way, is I hold his hip. If I haven't got his arm blocked, he's already passed the arm over to that side. So now he tries to sit on his hip and go the other way. If he sits here, I hold this hip. Go ahead and attack the kimura. I'm pulling that hip down. But so two things I'm going to do. My arm's under, I'm going to keep it tight here. Pinning. As anytime I can, I'm going to control this arm. Because this stops a few things. Sit the case katami. It doesn't feel very comfortable. Go north-south. Now lastly, if my arm is in front of the neck, I don't like to be here. A lot of people now they're doing this bottom third because they say, well, you keep the weight off you more. The point is to keep the weight off me. Okay, the point is to be able to manipulate his head posture. So I keep it right at my wrist bone and I hold the shoulder here and I hold this. Because now if he wants to attack my arm, push my arm across to go for the arm triangle. Here. Okay, so this, and I'm either going to be here, I'm here, holding, he tries to switch to go to attack the kimura. Switch your hips to attack the kimura. Okay. You stay on the hip. I'm not controlling where this arm can go, and that's going to be, it's very hard for him to submit me with one arm, unless he can get this arm across. Okay? So, I like to hold this. That stops him running to the other side, north-south. I have the other hook. I'm pinning his arm here. He tries to switch and reach for my kimura. It's very hard. You can't get the posture to do it. Okay, let's see if that helps.
Phil, was that helpful? Love that triangle escape. Very vicious. Here we go. Next to your basic movements you taped for us, what would you advise as solo practice for improving our BJJ? What would you advise one does if there is no possible school to go to nearby?
Are those two different questions?
No, it's the same person.
Okay, so if you don't have a school to go to, movements to practice. The bridge and roll. You usually do that. Okay. But honestly, he's going to look over his shoulder, bridge hips high, drop this knee to the ground, throw the leg over. Here. Can you ever practice bridging enough? Lay down. Bridge. Shrink your hips away. Drop your hips, that's fine. Okay, switch your feet. Come up to your knees. Practice that as much as possible. But honestly, if you don't have a training partner, I would suggest practicing standing stuff as much as possible. Practice some things. A double leg situation. Now you can do this if you have mats. You can do it with a drop knee. If not, I'm going to drop my level, step in, drop my knee up, good upright posture. Because honestly, from a standing situation, if you can finish the fight with a double leg, a throw, a trip, here, you don't need all that other stuff. I'm not saying you shouldn't learn it, but that's where a lot of people have the weaknesses, the standing situation. So I practice the double leg, and then the footwork for a hip throw. So a turning hip throw can get you just stay there square. Okay, we're going to be here, shoulder width apart. I want to step on the ball of my foot in front of his foot, either directly in front or slightly inside. A back step. Here, my knees are bent, my head is up. Then I can step and turn. You can step and turn. Step and turn. So we can just practice this as much as possible. Yep. So that next to just a simple double leg penetration. I would say practice those as much as possible. It's really hard, unfortunately, to practice a guillotine or a rear naked choke or a triangle without a partner. So if you could find someone, I would say, find someone, get a good basics instructional or book. The original Hinzo and Hoyler book is absolutely fantastic. I think it's just called Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah.
If you can find that, you can always write me and ask for things. But if there's not a school around, you're going to be having to train, and try to find somebody of yours, somebody, a friend, a boyfriend, girlfriend, enemy, somebody, and practice it. Unfortunately, by yourself. And don't be frustrated. You'd be surprised how many famous jiu-jitsu schools, associations started out like that, in a garage or in a warehouse, little tiny storage facility, any of these things. The place I started at looked like a condemned building, and now under Greg there's many schools, world champions, pro MMA guys, all started from that little thing. So that's what I would suggest.
You have the solo training DVDs, which you already mentioned. Yep. Also, we have the Patreon page for the technical training. I
have a Patreon page. I don't want to push it too much, but if you are interested, it's a patreon.com, Roy Marsh Jiu-Jitsu. And I post there things, and people can always request me to video things there too as well. And then even if you can, if you're hours away from someplace, see if maybe you can go once a week to train there. As I used to tell people all the time, in the kingdom of the blind, the one-eyed man has got a little bit of training can go a long way.
Yeah. Also, they can ask you to make videos, which you can upload. So if you have specific technical questions, what to train, how, you can write us and we will make a video for it.
Exactly.
So, Maike, I hope this one was okay for you. Glenn, hi Glenn, from Thousand, California, hi.
Alright.
When you are in bottom side control, instead of focusing on an escape, do you have some effective submissions that you can use against the opponent on top?
Yeah, a little bit. I actually had a student of mine, Brian Freeman, you can look him up. I think he goes by wheelchair Jiu-Jitsu on Instagram and things. Obviously he really couldn't use his legs. He was handicapped and he had a lot of really good tricks for bottom side control. The one that I've seen most people, and so we would have other people with disabilities or injuries that would come train with us. And the one thing I would see them mostly hunt was kimuras. Okay? They would use it for sweeps and for submissions because they couldn't really fight to get on top. Okay, so in this situation, you take a side control. Yeah, take side control. Here. And here. Now from this break, I'm going to start. I'm taking this position. Now one thing that we developed, he and I, is if I'm here and he resists, he's pretty strong. Okay? So what we would do is we'd either make a fist or I'd shoot my whole arm through and make a fist. Now resist. And then he'd start working here. Okay? The trick is this. Okay? So he's trying to control my head. I'm really playing this game. And then when I get the chance, I'm going to start reaching over. And I got to be careful that I'm not setting up the arm triangle. So I got to stay above the bottom of the arm. I come here. And then I'm here. Now even if he's grabbing anything, look, I use my elbow, pop it out, here. Now, if you know me and my guys, let's get back this way. It's also developed a lot to going below the elbow. And then here. Okay, so if I'm here and he's fighting, you start to go below the elbow and get the wrist lock. One thing, this is also a technique we developed, or I stole from Pedro Valenche, is here is when he would bring the arm over, I'm going to pass it off, shoot my arm all the way through, and hold the head. Now from here I'm squeezing very tight. Now I can wait, because if he tries to sit to face me, he can't, right? A lot of times he's either going to try to drive his knee across my body, or he's going to switch his hips to try to step over. Yeah, or maybe try to do something with his left hand. When he does, I pull, and I come right on top. It's not really a choke there, but you want to act like you're trying to choke the person. It's very uncomfortable. So you have to be, the way we viewed it with Brian was his arms were his legs. Okay, so he got very good at playing kind of this game. Okay. Here, or he passes it over. Here. And notice I'm keeping my head up and squeezing. I can have my legs even completely down. Go ahead. Okay. So in my experience, the Kimura is the technique that you're going to catch a lot in bottom side control. You can also catch, sometimes, did you get your gi top on? Yeah. This is a slick one. This is from my friend Renato Freitas. Here, he would come here. It's kind of like a sleeve choke setup. Okay? So he's here, he's catching here. Now again, I'm curling my hand, catching, so the bone of my wrist is right in his trachea. From here, you're going to sit up, shoot your hand through. Now if you can, you shoot your hand through. If not, you can simply grab the gi at your elbow. And this doesn't seem like it's going to work, but then you just turn. All you're doing is this. So he's here, you're going to play this game. He's not thinking about the next switch. Here. So even from here, the choke is very, very tight. I'm not a big proponent of trying to submit from the bottom, but I am a big proponent of threatening the guy from the bottom. I don't ever want him to be comfortable. I don't want to have the defensive mindset of, please don't submit me. I want to make him uncomfortable at all times. So even if I go for this and he slips his head out, now he's kind of second guessing. Maybe try to hold my head and keep attacking Kimuras. He's starting to second guess, which means he's often going to give me a little bit of space, which allows me to escape.
With what belt level would you advise is taking students acceptable?
What?
At what belt level would you advise is taking students acceptable? I think they're asking at what belt level they can start teaching. Is that right?
Oh, taking students.
Taking students, yeah.
Yep.
Taking students acceptable.
If you're talking about, well, it's completely dependent. You have to give respect to the belt level and the time put in. But I've also trained with some purple belts that were far, far better teachers than world-class black belts I've trained with. Because they focused on teaching, they focused on learning, whereas you get a guy, I tell this story, I'm not going to name names, but I remember a guy I knew who was an exceptional wrestler, an exceptional athlete, and I asked him to work with me on some wrestling. And he was horrible at teaching it because he was just such a natural athlete. Now obviously he knew what he was doing too, but I'm not saying he didn't. But he would just be like, sometimes I do this, sometimes I do this, oh shoot, I do this. There's no way I was following what he was doing. I had another friend of mine, also a very good wrestler, but was not very athletic. And he would break it down really simple. Okay, these are our 3 points of control. This is how we do this. Worked a lot better for me. So even though the first guy was technically a more decorated wrestler, the second guy I would train with any day over the week over the first guy. I would learn a lot more wrestling than from the first guy. So a lot of my instructor when I started, I think was a blue belt. Now, at that time, I think he was the highest ranked guy in North Carolina. So, you know, that's a situation. If you are a blue belt and you try to open a school in the middle of 10 black belts, it's possible, but you're gonna have a lot of trouble just because people see the belt and they will go, okay, well, I'll go to the black belt. Okay? But if you're not somewhere where there's a lot of schools, or you just want to teach because it's a way for you to learn, and also you feel like you're a good teacher and you understand, that's perfectly fine. Like I said, I think as a purple belt, I was a better teacher than many black belt instructors I've met. And this goes true to a lot of people I knew coming up. So I don't think, but you have to be a good teacher first. Make sure you understand. You don't teach beyond your ability. One of the mistakes is I see some teachers will refuse to ever say they don't know something. In fact, I knew one guy, and he mocked a guy he'd done a seminar with. He's like, I asked him a question, he didn't know the answer. I was like, that's good. Right? You should appreciate that the guy's honest enough to go, well, I don't know. But what the guy said was, I don't know, maybe we can figure this out. Okay? That's Jiu-Jitsu. You're not going to know every technique. So if you just, work with what you know very well, and then as you get better, you expand. That's perfectly fine. So again, depending on where you are, blue belt can be fine to start teaching. I wouldn't necessarily teach as a white belt as far as trying to run a business. Again, unless just, you're at a gym and they say, hey, you know some jiu-jitsu, would you mind teaching a few people a couple times a week? That's perfectly fine. If you're trying to actually run it like a business, I would say probably want to wait till at least purple belt, again, depending on where you're at. And again, times are different. I had a blue belt, I think Isaiah was 7 years before he got his purple belt. And at 6 years, he was a beast. Instruction, my guys, Victor, Julian, all my guys, Daniel, Georg, they just got their blue belts, but they know jiu-jitsu, right? They can all teach. So I know I kind of feel like I'm dodging the question, but there isn't really an answer. If you know the material, teach. You'll find out if you're good at it or not.
Let's see. Phil says, thank you, it was a huge help.
Good.
Could you repeat the title of that book, please? Which book?
The Henzo and Hoyler book.
Oh, yeah.
So I think it was simply called Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I think it may still be in print. It was Henzo Gracie and Hoyler Gracie. And it's really nice. It just kind of goes from it goes literally from like how to tie your belt to how to do a break fall. If you can't find that one,
I will post it in the group. I have that book. I will post the ESPN number and also the title of the book in the in the group. Also, I think I have most of the Jiu-Jitsu books, so I can make some pictures and we can post it.
Yeah. I used to have that one, and then I lent it to someone, and I never got it back. But that's every Jiu-Jitsu instructor's experience with books.
Also, Seeger posted the link. Yeah, it's called Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Theory and Practice Technique.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's the link.
You could literally run a school off of. If you had two things, guys, not that you should do this, but if you had that book, and then you had a series of DVDs that Matt Serra put out, probably back in the mid-2000s, on just basic Jiu-Jitsu, which is just a fantastic series on just everything basic about Jiu-Jitsu. You could probably run a school just off of those two things.
Next question. Favorite Keisagatame escape, please.
Okay, so this is going to sound like me dodging the question. There is no one Keisagatame escape. This is why Keisagatame headlocks are very difficult. But I'm not going to dodge it entirely. So if we're talking Keisagatame, then we're talking he has the head, he has the arm. Okay? Now, if I have my arm free, so I can get my elbow down, then we have multiple escapes depending on what he's doing. Okay, so if he has my head, I keep my elbow, I can make my frame, he has his head down, I hold the shoulder, hook the leg, he keeps his leg in, I have getting to the knees, getting up. But if he has my arm, all those escapes are gone. Okay, so let's turn this way. Okay, so this is my favorite one. Can you see this?
Yeah.
Let's get back this way. Okay, so first thing I want to do is make sure that he can't pull this arm down. So I'm actually going to lock my hands in an S grip. Okay. Now I like to, the whole time I'm trying to turn and pull my elbow in. This is going to do this. This is going to make him pull it back up, which is what I want. I want him driving this arm up. Okay, now it's very important. I like to get my hips really close to the person. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is, if I just try to roll again across my body, there's no way I can do it. I need to take his head here. Right now he's very heavy. Put your head over down here. He's very light. Now I'm going to bridge, but here's the important part that most people make a mistake of. Yep. When I bridge, I want to take my arms all the way to the mat. So it's not just bridge, and it's not just this. It's both. And here I'm trying to pull, I bridge, take my hands to the mat. Now I'm going to roll my hips all the way over. So I'll do this 1 or 2 times. I'll either be pulling in, or sometimes I'll actually just relax. So he feels like he can relax a little bit. But I'll tell you, pulling. And then it's very easy over. Again, the mistake is people don't use the arms. So they go like this. And they're stuck. I'm trying to touch S grip, because with the S grip, I lift my hands a lot higher than with the cable grip. So I go, feet close to the butt. As I bridge, I punch. I come over, and then we get payback. Okay, so right here, he's here, he's trying to pull the elbow down. When he feels me hold it, he bridges, come back. You really want to make sure you're not taking your hands over here. Take your hands over there. Even if you just try to touch your hands to the ground over there. You want to take your hands above your head. And then across.
This one works really because I know that they have Julian here in our class. He's a monster holding Keisagatame. He jumps from mountain to the Keisagatame, and that's the only escape I can use.
It takes a while sometimes, right, with him. It takes quite a while sometimes.
But it was always successful.
Now understand too, there's the catch-22, right? When I'm here, if I go for this move, and he puts his hand on the ground, then I get my elbow in. Then we can go to all the other escapes. So he can't stop the roll without letting go of my elbow, which is, I want it on the ground in the first place anyway. So I'm here, I go. Now he comes back, maybe now we have the rest of our escapes. So understand that when a technique fails, it will often open up another technique. So I'll go for this knowing that I'm either going to get my elbow to the ground or I'm going to get the reversal.
Yeah. Next one. Could you please show the setup for the twister, spinal twist, and how to tighten it?
The twister, or you mean the twister position?
Wait, she's also saying sorry, Erkan, for being the twisted one. Thank you, Diana.
She plans to what?
Huh? She's sorry that I will be the guy who gets twisted.
So you want the twister position?
What she's asking for, could you please show the setup for the twister, the spinal twist, and how to tighten it? The setup for the twister and how to tighten it.
Well, the twister isn't really a spinal. Okay, okay, I got you. Sorry. And now, let me turn you this way. Keep turning. Okay. Okay. I actually love this position. I played this for years. There's a lot of ways to set it up. Okay. First off, I have to have my arms free. So what I mean by that is, when I have side control, first thing I want to do is face his legs. And I have to have this forearm under this arm. And preferably, I pulled his arm back so it's not in front of my face, messing with me. I can't do this with the arm here because I can't reach his legs. Here. Now, sometimes he does it on his own where he turns onto his side to try to maybe get something. This took me a long time to figure out. It's not this leg I need to deal with, it's this leg. So one thing I can do is I can simply grab this leg, pull it to the side. I'm skipping a lot of things. This is a battle in its own right. When he starts to get wise to this. In the beginning, they'll just kind of turn and try to catch with this leg. I want to hook, this is the confusing part, the bottom leg around his leg. Sometimes you may hook the top leg and then pass it off, and then figure 4. Okay, now we're basically in the twister position. So this is the confusing part. It's his far leg and my bottom leg. Okay, not this or this. So one thing I can do is just come here. I want to be at the knee, and then I figure 4. Now you can tuck your foot under his. Sometimes I just leave it out. Now I want to stay above his knee. This way, just look. And I want to be my knee as close to his crotch as possible. From here, I want to get up, and I want to stay above his knee. Now notice I'm facing his legs. Okay, that's the important part. Okay. I'm going to hold his leg here. I can grab his leg, and I'm going to, or pin it. I'm going to roll over this shoulder. This is why it's so confusing. There's so many weird things. I'm not rolling this way. I'm rolling over this arm that's closest to his head. Roll over the shoulder, down towards his butt. Here and here. Now, I have his leg, my feet crossed here. Sometimes I'll do this. Here. Okay, so now I'm controlling his leg. Now one thing I can do is, I can catch his arm. Let's go back just a little bit. This is what I'm looking for. If I don't catch his arm or I don't hold this leg, he's just going to roll away and get away. So from here, I'm holding the leg. A lot of times he may be trying to protect his leg or something. I'm going to catch the arm. This is the trick. If I can, I get pretty close to him. I still have this figure 4, or rather this grapevine position here. I'm going to hold his wrist, and I want to put the arm behind my head like we're on a date. I'm going to bring my arm under here. So notice, I want it all the way under my back this way. So we try to pull his arm out. I'm putting my weight on it. Now from here, make an S grip right at his temple. Not at his neck, he's strong here. Here, okay? Now I'm going to pull his head towards me as I bridge my hip. Okay. So one more time. Here for a second. Again, very important, I'm under this arm. I like to scoot back, keep my knee right about there. Often this is the battle, trying to get control of this leg. You may just hook with this to pull it down, and then here, I get up on my knees. I'm over his hips, pin his arm, roll over this shoulder, down this way. I go this way, resist, I can't. I go down here, hold the leg, catch the arm. Put the arm under my back, hold his head. Break his spine, walk away. Okay?
Thank you.
Hopefully we have that recorded, and then you can play that back.
Thank you, Diana.
Good job, Diana.
So, thank you, great information. I'm looking forward to visiting Germany this summer and training with your team. Oh, that will be great, Glenn.
Who is that?
Glenn Lampton. Yeah, you're always welcome. Amazing, thank you. And sorry, yeah, it's okay. It's new year, new spine. Was it the twister you were asking for, Diana? There are not any more questions.
Okay. Hold on. 1 second.
1 second.
Let's see, I think we had a couple questions from people. One of them was about the slots. So we'll cover that really quickly. Okay. So there's a million different wrist locks. Okay. Don't worry about that. Okay. First, let's understand how the joint is injured. That's the first thing. You have to understand the mechanics of the joint, right? How many ways can the joint be injured?
3.
3. Right? Hyperextend, hyper-rotate, hyper-compress. That's it. Every single submission on a joint lock, that's going to be it. The art comes from learning how to control the person so they can't turn and escape, move the joint in a direction where it's not going to get injured. Okay? So that's why I can't just grab his arm, kind of throw my legs like this and get an arm lock. I have no control. Okay? So the wrist and the hand is kind of weird because it moves in a bunch of different directions. I can go hyperextend, hypercompress, hyper-rotate, both of these ways. So rotation meaning this way, but also rotation when it's bent. Okay, and there's actually other ways too. So the trick is I have to stop the elbow moving. Right? Because let's be more specific. Why are wrist locks used so much in other self-defense arts, Hapkido things?
You can control the body of the
You can manipulate. Right? We're so submission focused in Jiu-Jitsu, sometimes we forget the idea that I can manipulate somebody. Okay? So with the end of the lever here, I can control the elbow, I can control the shoulder, I can control that hip and that knee. Okay? Meaning I manipulate all of those. So sometimes I use this to manipulate somebody. If I want to injure the person, I have to stop that chain. Okay, so if I go here and I stop the elbow moving, then I get the submission. If I do that, his elbow comes in and I get the roll. Okay, so you have 2 kind of game plans you can work with there. The trick, most common submission wrist lock is compression. His defense to this is to pull his elbow away. Okay? Because his hand isn't going to be strong enough to straighten out most of the time, especially if I'm putting my hand or my body weight on it. So what I have to mostly focus on is backstopping the elbow. So a lot of times when I'm going for wrist locks, that's what I catch first. I don't worry about it, because I do this. What do you think? Yeah, he's doing something. Okay, so a lot of times I'll backstep the elbow, or where's your arm now? It's backstopped, or turn this way. What happens if I do this? What do you do with your elbow? But look, it only goes so far, right?
Yes.
So it hits a backstop. Okay, so even though I'm not controlling the elbow, I know eventually I'll catch the elbow. And then the submission happens. Okay. I'll cover this a lot more in my wrist lock instructional. But the other thing I want you guys thinking about is, again, don't be so singular minded. Right? I go for an arm lock because I want the arm lock. Yes, I do want the arm lock, but I have to be aware of other things that attempting the arm lock will give me. A lot of times when I attack the wrist lock, if I hold your wrist, you pull your arm back, right, to get away. If I hold your hand, well, he's going to tend to open his elbow to get away. Just pull towards your body. Yeah. So when I do this, what do? And now I do the underhook. Okay, so I'll set that up to get the underhook. Now, sometimes I'll just use this to manipulate the elbow. So what I mean by that is right here. This might be a good one for you, Phil. If I want the Kimura and I grab his wrist and I push the arm, resist. I can't. So I can't manipulate the elbow. It's too strong. But if I hold the wrist and I turn, you see how the elbow opens up? So now I want the Kimura. Here. So I'm actually holding the hand, turning. See how that opens that space? This means one of two things. I can either set up the Kimura, or he's really keeping it tight so I can't get an underhook. I open, punch my arm through, then punch my arm through, and I have the underhook. Okay, so versus just grabbing the wrist here. Now I can also backstop it, then attack the wrist. Okay. So that was for Colonel Dave. Was asking a little detail. Oh, let me cover one quick thing on the wrist lock. For Colonel Dave, he was asking about this. There are? Okay. Real quickly, because he saw me rolling with Ross Hudson. I caught him with this. Ross went for the butterfly, and then grabbed my foot and tried to dump me back here. So the first thing I did was grab the foot, is I turned my foot in a little bit to make it harder. Now, I go here. Now, I'll do it without this so you guys can see. Put me in half guard. This is what I like a lot. It's kind of the same move. I go here, I go for the Kimura. Guys, I'll grab their thigh. Grab inside your leg. And now it's hard to get the Kimura. So what I do is I keep the Kimura grip, but I go below the elbow. So I go here to keep it. And then I can catch it. Now notice I'm not behind his elbow. I have a backstop it. So this means he could potentially pull his arm away. So I follow it. Okay, so that's what I do with the guy going for the Kimura and he's really holding on his leg. I'm never going to get it out this way. So I slide below the elbow. Hold on now. And then we have this here. I use that one a lot.
On me. Which escape from back control do you find to be effective?
Yeah. Well, it kind of depends on the back control. But first thing, I do not like to let him. You do that, I'm going to break your foot. I do not like to let him over my shoulder. So I don't tend to do this too much. Okay. Also, from a self-defense perspective, I'm getting punched in the face all the time I'm doing this. So we're going to go kind of an old school modification. Elbow is high, hand is in my armpit. Other hand is covering right above my ear, here. As my escape route, just do a normal here. The old days they told you the finger pointing on the choke is the escape route. Right? Yeah, I can escape this way, but this is much easier. But often I would get confused about which way to go, because by the time you see that hand coming across, you're fighting off a choke. I look at it as the arm I'm over, that's my escape route. So when I do this, I'm over both arms. Doesn't matter which side he comes in. And then he can reach over my arm, over my neck, I don't care. So I'm here, I catch, I control. Now, what I don't like to do is his goal to maintain my back control is keep his chest tight to me. So if I bridge into him, I'm doing that work for him. So when I catch, I bring my body forward. I'm trying to separate the center of my shoulder blades from his chest. Notice I'm on my feet, on my toes. Now I want to put this shoulder, not this part of my shoulder, the back, on the back, close to my knee. Here. Now I can let go. Okay, now from here it's very important. Look at my feet. They're wide, I'm on my toes. But my hips are heavy. I don't want to lift my hips, he's going to slide him out. Okay, so come back. I'm laying on his leg. Here, go back. But I'm on my toes. Now from here, I've got to get this elbow. He's on my back as long as he stays behind my elbow. So I got to get this elbow between us. Here. He's no longer on my back now. Okay, very important to understand. As long as he's behind my elbow, he's on my back. From here, I'm still heavy on his leg. Come on, Tom. Here. So now, I'm going to control this leg. If he has pants, pull him up. So if he tries to pull that grip off, here. Turn my hips, elbow on the ground, come up. Okay, now you might go to side control, there's different things, but it's an important thing. He goes, he gets my back. Right away I'm here. Here, look. Let go of this, you don't need it unless you want to wrist lock. Okay? Look at my feet, keep your legs closed. If my feet are like this, it's hard. My legs open wide. If I have to now, because I don't have to worry about the choke, I could clear that heel. But I turn and I get my elbow in. Now he tries to come on top. Okay. So important concepts. This is the position. Don't drive into him. Get your chest back away from his chest. Go to the overhook side. Get your elbow to the ground as soon as possible.
Troy says, do you have a basic checklist for beginners to help them understand how to be successful in guard bottom, like a new student's primer of what you focus on in the guard so they can build good habits?
Okay. So let's talk about, there's kind of a, again, it's gonna change depending on self-defense or sport. But we'll just talk kind of just general grappling. Okay. There's sort of three ranges in the guard. Okay. He's either down close, he's in this middle area, or he's up tall. Okay. Which of those works out best for us? We can actually be, I can dominate from all three of those ranges, he can dominate from all three of those ranges. Okay, meaning if he's low but he's on the inside, he's dominating. If he's low, I'm on the inside, I'm dominating. Okay, but one thing, when he postures up, this is a strong position from the pass front because he's got a lot of leverage to open my legs, stand up. And notice right now my hips are away from him. Okay, so it starts to get here, stand up, drive your leg in, all this stuff here. It's hard for me to keep my guard close. If he's postured up, I never want my hips on the ground. So what I'm going to do is cross my feet, bite down, walk my hip in his lap. Look at my back is straight. Now, start to my guard. Stand up. Here, okay? Turn this way. Now, again, spinal alignment. It can work to his favor, it can work to my favor. So if I'm here, he starts sliding that knee back because he wants to start opening the leg. I always get my butt inside his leg. So he brings his leg underneath me. Here. If I stay here, I'm over to side. Okay. Lastly, and we'll cover kind of a couple other things, but put your hands on top of your head. Okay, open my guard.
I cannot open your guard.
Okay. If he doesn't have a hand, the hand, here's what I have to worry about. A lot of people worry about this hand. Always address that arm. Okay? Here. I don't want to mess with this arm too much. Now, if I break him down, I want to get my legs high. So I don't want my legs low anymore, just sit normal. I want to walk my legs up as much as I can. Because now he's got to use energy to posture back up. It's hard to open my guard here unless he does the tripod pass. Do the violator, pop up. Yeah, and then I keep my hips very tight. I can also walk my body back. Okay, but his posture's up, my hips are off the ground. I get his posture down, my hips walk high. Okay, that's basic. He starts to get a knee in the middle. I get back in the middle. Okay, he starts to try to push a leg. I just rest that leg. Okay. So, the one thing I would also work on, as a very good thing, is this drill. Okay, you want to be able to use your legs and hips to control the person, but this hand here, I said this is the important hand for holding him down, or for opening his guard, but this is an important hand for controlling him. If he lets me get my hand controlled here, it's going to be hard for him to maybe stop this. So what you want to do is never let the person get a starting position. I talk to my students all the time. It's very important for me to get a good starting position, a position where I have proper base, proper position, where I can execute the technique easily. In other words, it's hard for me to stand up to pass if I'm like this. If I'm like this, it's easier. So conversely, he never wants me to have that. So if I'm trying to put hands on him, I always keep my hands off you. Here. If I posture up, where do your hips go? Yeah. And now we can start hand fighting him off again. Here, every time I try to build up, hips in, clear the hands. Yes. Okay. Learn to play that versus, I just got to do a submission. If you can keep the person in your closed guard for 10 minutes, and you're a blue belt, the guy's a black belt, you may submit him. Okay, if you're a black belt, he's a blue belt, but I can only keep him in my guard for 20 seconds. I may submit him later, but I'm not going to submit him with that. So mastering how to keep the closed guard, how to keep those positions, clearing the arms off the body, okay? And then of course learning to rock with your knees. That's a whole other topic, but clearing that back arm. I can't tell you how much that will make life miserable for the person. People too often just ignore, just squeezing their legs hoping that the person can't do that. Or now they're going for a desperate triangle or lasso or something. Just master keeping the guard closed. Hopefully that helps. Is that Troy from Virginia?
I don't know. It was Troy Champney.
Yep. Hey Troy. Hopefully that helps. Happy New Year.
But yeah, okay, you got the answers. So, Carrie, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You know her?
Yeah.
He says, or she says, why are you showing my tricksies?
I'm showing everything I know, which was pretty much taught by you, so. But I'm claiming it now, so.
So Russ is here. That's it. No more questions right
from,
now.
Ross or Jason?
Thank you, brother. Happy New Year, says Troy. Troy says, thank you, brother. Happy New Year.
Good.
Russ, any questions?
I mean, Ross is perfect at Jiu-Jitsu, so. Alright guys, one thing I get asked about a lot is pressure game. My mount, my second control, etc. I'm going to show you guys actually a little drill to do for those of you guys who teach. That's a really good drill, and also for you guys who just train or coming up how to hold mount. So, and also how to think about things. My students have heard me talk about this a lot. The way I figure out how to do something is by studying how my opponent counters or defends or what he's trying to accomplish. And I build whatever I'm doing to preempt that. I don't want to do the, he does a move, I do a move, he does a move, I do a move. Or just do something because somebody told me to do it this way. I want to understand why it is I'm accomplishing and build it this way. So Side just this way, just a touch. Okay, so when I mount the person, he's really got two major escapes. He's either going to roll to his knees, i.e. an umpa, or he's going to put me into guard. Now notice on both of those, he got on his side. So if I don't let him get on his side, the vast majority of his escapes are useless. So I don't need to know a million counters. What I'm trying to do is keep his hips completely flat on the ground. Okay, that's going to take away, again, most of his escapes. Okay, so that's really crucial. So, what I'm going to do is, this is just a drill. The moment I feel one hip coming up, I'm going to press it back down. Okay, this is a subtle thing. Okay, now it's very important that when I do this, sorry. I don't want to pivot here. In other words, I don't want to push my hip down and lift this hip too high because now I'm off balance this way. I'm actually pivoting in the center of my body. It's a weird thing, but I'm pivoting here and not like a hinge over here. I'm pivoting in the middle just a little bit. That elevates the other side less, so I don't get a chance where it starts to go one way and then goes the other way. So what I mean by that is, first off, we're going to go ahead and get our hooks, cross our feet. My hips are connected to his hip. I'm keeping my head up right now to talk, but in reality, head is down. So if I feel him starting to turn his hips this way, I press down just slightly that way. When I feel him go the other way, I'm here. Okay? So even if he goes hard, here. Now, notice the space here. The less connection, the less predictability. That's something I preach, right? The more connected I am, the more predictable. So now I cross my feet, curl my hips, put my head down. Now I try to lift my hips. I can feel where he's going. The moment he starts to lift one hip, I drive the other hip down slightly. He tries to do the knee elbow. I turn him this way. Now he tries to do the knee over the other side. Yeah. Okay. We'll get into all that later, but just as a drill, don't do it explosively. It's more about feeling the moment that hip comes up, pushing it back down. What I don't want to do, if I can help it, is he starts to, as I'm light, he starts to turn. I'm like, oh God, I gotta jump. Then he's turning and maybe, I'll do that if I have to, but I don't want that to be my first inclination.
Great detail, thank you.
All right, guys, so any more questions? If not, we may.
You don't feel sorry for me, I'm used to that. Get twisted, pressured, wrist locked, choked, sweet.
It's called love.
Yeah.
Gracie Schwarzwald style.
So, thank you guys. I appreciate the session. Hope to see you soon.
Yeah, thank you guys. And if you like this, we'll be happy to try to do it again.
Yeah, just write us.
As a first time, I think this went okay. And just write us, or stay in touch on Gracie Schwarzwald, and we'll make an announcement when we want to do it again.
Yeah.
And hopefully it helped a lot.
Also, we will download the video, and also we taped it, so
hopefully it all works out. We can put it up online.
We send you lots of love and Happy New Year, Spine. Thank you.
Thank you, Ross.
And it was Diana.
Yeah, I know it was Diana.
For my spine, not your spine.
Ross wouldn't ever say anything like that.
Thank you for your time, everyone.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for watching.
And if you want to know how to get the video today, just write him or me.
Yeah, just write us, and I'll get it up as soon as I can.
Yeah.
And also, for those of you students, I think you saw where a lot of the videos are on the website now.
Yeah.
Updated more videos there. And also, I have a present for you guys coming soon too.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
Okay, then see you soon.
Thank you guys.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Tschüss.
Bye bye. Tschüss.